Closing time. Why am I echoing so bad on your end? What is happening? All right. Anyway, welcome back to GMs Live on the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. My name's Will Polson. Alongside with me, Matthew Perry of GMs for Hire as well. Jamil King's going to be joining us a little bit later on. He's stuck in traffic right now. That's just what happens in Tampa. But he will be joining us. RJ, unfortunately, at work yet again, so no RJ tonight. But
busy man.
What's that?
He's a busy man.
Yeah, man. He's got a championship reign to prepare for. So he's out there. He's getting his stretching in. So hopefully he'll be all right. But right now you got me and you've got Matt. So Matt, how's it going?
It's all right. I mean, I'm here. You know, we had a productive day. Recorded some stuff for those who watch us. Some of it won't make the cut. Some of it will. It was an interesting day. How are you?
Some of it might not make the cut, but it was quite the show. I'm having a dandy old of a time. I'm busy sending out, sharing it to some places right now, trying to get some people in here. We try to pile it up because last week, shout out to everybody who was a part of it last week. Last week, GMs for Hire set a new record for us, at least on the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network, more than doubling our previous high in views. So we want to thank everybody who was a part of that because you guys are awesome. And Brandon Herrera was one of those guys last week who was there. Shout out, Brandon. What's going on? Brandon, you might want to stick around. We got quite a bit of your twins that we're going to be talking about here soon. Wow, what a segue, Brandon. Thanks, buddy, because boom, he's not wrong. Big trade indeed. I'm sure we'll get we'll get Jamil's opinion in on this whenever he shows up. But right now, we are just finding out just a couple of hours ago, breaking news: Nelson Cruz, NC Boomstick, traded to the Tampa Bay Rays. Obviously, Tampa Bay in a very heated division in the AL East between the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and themselves. So this division is a huge toss-up, and there was a little bit of a link to Nelson Cruz to Tampa Bay in free agency. Obviously, we didn't see it. He did re-sign with the Twins, but now he's in Tampa, and he will be joining the Rays here soon enough. Matt, what are your initial thoughts on?
I like the trade. I was one of those kind of rooting for Nelson Cruz going to Tampa. I think it's a great fit. It's a big power bat, something they needed, I'd say, pretty desperately because besides Meadows and sometimes Rosarena, there isn't much power in that lineup. The Rays get better with this, and the Twins clearly make themselves known as sellers. I would expect Barrios, Donaldson. I know teams are talking about them. What the Twins got for Nelson Cruz, they got Joe Ryan and Drew Strotman, who are both two hard-throwing right-handers. I like Joe Ryan a lot. He's big league ready soon, so that's great for the Twins. Twins are going to be focused on moving forward. I mean, I didn't really see the Twins playing this poorly this season. It's really disappointing. I like Rocco Baldelli as their manager a lot. So I don't know what the problem is up in Mini, but Nelson Cruz gone and the Rays get a lot better.
Absolutely. I think it's fair to say that Nelson Cruz is going to be a great addition. James Gonzalez down in the comment section. What's going on, James? He said, I bet Isaiah Leung is very disappointed Cruz is not going to Oakland. I do know that he mentioned Cruz to Oakland a couple of times. Brandon Herrera talking about Twins getting the 10th and 17th pitching prospect back in return. So you definitely got a pretty decent haul for an aging veteran, to say the least. And Donaldson may be harder to deal because of his contract, but he can be done. I think the Twins are I think with something like this, the Twins have fully solidified the fact that they are in sell now mode. And I understand why. They haven't been playing up to expectations. A lot of players in their lineup really underselling what they are capable of. So hopefully they'll be able to figure something out here in the near seasons. But now Tampa Bay gets to benefit here with Nelson Cruz. Brandon Herrera says, Matt, the problem is that Minnesota is simple. It is Minnesota bad luck. So I guess he would know about some Minnesota bad luck, being in Minnesota his whole life. But
yeah, I mean, the only real, I guess, bad luck the Twins have is running into the Yankees every year in the playoffs, and both teams might not even make the playoffs this year. I mean, the Twins won't. The Yankees, if they get hot and stay hot, there's a chance at the wild card, but that's something we got to wait and see on. That's the only bad luck, though, I know coming out of coming out of Minnesota.
And James Gonzalez says that Maeda is facing his Angels right now, and he can see Maeda getting dealt later on as well. And I think that could be a possibility. I know there's a lot of talk about Jose Barrios, so that could be another piece that gets dealt later on this year too. And I think that honestly segues perfectly into the next segment. Obviously, the trade deadline is coming up here at the end of the month. We've only got a couple of days left. Brandon Herrera says, will we see more trades now that a big piece has been moved? And I think it's fair to say that we might. Nelson Cruz is obviously a big bat, probably one of the more prominent bats on the not free agency, but on the waiver wire or on the trading block that could be moved. So let's talk about some players that could be moved. Obviously, the people here in this picture, I did already reference Jose Barrios. You've got Ketel Marte, you've got Adam Frazier, you got Kyle Gibson, John Lester. Obviously, there's a lot of other names that are being linked as well. I've heard names such as Joey Gallo. I've heard names such as Max Scherzer, Chris Bryant. Cubs are already showing that they are traders. They've already sent off Jock Peterson. So who do you think's next, or what players do you think could be next? And actually, before we do it, live from his own home, Jamil King.
I'm here.
He is here. So, Jamil, before we move on, you missed topic one.
I've been talking about it every week for like the past 3 weeks.
I'm just saying, we couldn't move on without your opinions on it. Obviously, the big resident Rays fan, take us through it. What's the opinion?
I love the trade. Obviously, Joe Ryan hurts. He's going to be a phenomenal pitcher, I think, for the Twins. But, I mean, we have a lot of ammo left in the tank in AAA and then AA pitching-wise, and I think we needed this big bat to put us in the middle of the lineup behind Wander and Meadows and in front of some other guys. Yeah, I think we can mix and match the lineup a little bit, and I think it's a huge bet that we desperately needed.
Folks, 15 people watching us live right now. Thank you all so much for joining the live and everything such as that. Make sure that you're sharing and that you're commenting. We love to hear from you guys. Tell us what you think about the Cleveland the Nelson Cruz to Tampa Bay trade. Obviously, we all think it's a pretty good one. But we also got to talk about how what Brandon said. Before you got here, Jamil, Brandon asked, since we've seen a big piece move, do you think it's time to start seeing some bigger pieces move? And it segues perfectly into the next segment. Obviously, these gentlemen right here on the photo, they could all be moved. And there's a lot of other names that could easily be moved as well. So let's talk about it. Obviously, there's been a lot of rumor mills and everything such as that. There is every single year. But the trade deadline, of course, at the end of July. So, Matt, whenever you're looking at some of the names in the MLB that are up for grabs right now, who is somebody that stands out that could possibly be next to get dealt?
Well, there are plenty of names. Josh Donaldson, Chris Bryant both come to mind. Byron Buxton, like Brandon mentioned. If he hasn't signed that extension they offered, he could be on the move. Definitely a big piece for a contender if he can stay healthy. I'm still really big on the Diamondbacks selling. Eduardo Escobar, Zach Gallen, Caleb Smith, even maybe David Peralta could be on the move. There are several different guys. Asdrubal Cabrera back to the Mets I really like. They could use another infield piece. And Cabrera off the bench would be real solid for them. But, yeah, there's a lot out there right now.
Absolutely. I think that's holy crap. What is happening? Oh my God. Oh, we're losing everything. There we go. But no, absolutely. There's definitely plenty of names. I think you mentioned a lot that could definitely be on the move. Jamil, what are some names that you've heard around the rumor mill that you think could be next?
I would be interested to see if the Twins move Jose Barrios, because if they move him, they can get a haul because he's under contract for I think 2 more seasons after this. So if they can move him, I don't think that's a team that wants to necessarily go into a rebuild, but more of a retool. But if they trade him, Bucks and Donaldson, then maybe it does turn to a rebuild. I want to see if the Diamondbacks do indeed want to trade Ketel Marte, and I want to see what the Pirates do. They have a couple controllable pieces, like a guy like Adam Frazier and Brian Reynolds, that teams are going to be able to have them for another year or two. So see if they want to cash on any of those guys.
I don't know what you guys think, but do you guys think Joey Gallo is going to get moved? Joey Gallo is a name I've heard quite a bit, and I've heard him a lot to your Yankees, Matt. I've heard a lot of connection to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation, but actually the team and player that we've been, I think, in most contact with is the Colorado Rockies and Trevor Story. I think from what I've seen on Twitter, from verified sources, of course. The closest the Yankees and Rockies have gotten is to even knowing what the Rockies want, and it's a lot for Trevor Story. I believe it was Clint Frazier, Anthony Volpe, one of our top 10 prospects, I want to say, but he's in Double-A now, so he's still like, I want to say, at least a year away. He's 20 years old, so he has time. And then one or two more guys. It was a lot. I don't remember all the exact names, but Story to the Yankees, I support it. You know, you move Glaber back to second. You have DJ at first. With Stanton moving back to the outfield soon, Aaron Boone said, and you know, you can't take everything he says legit because he lies a lot, that Stanton would be heading back and getting some outfield time this weekend in Fenway, where they are right now. Who knows if that'll happen, but it opens up the DH spot where if Voit comes back, you just have Voit DH. He's had that knee issue anyway, so save him the trouble of fielding, let him DH, and have LeMahieu at first. Story works, but I wouldn't give up that much. I like Gallo a lot. We need a left-handed bat desperately, and we need an outfielder desperately. Judge can't be the only star out there, so Gallo would help, but we don't know their asking price yet.
Fair enough. We've got Trevor Story is supposed to be traded to the Yankees anytime now. From James Gonzalez, and he also said that the Yankees could let go of Clint Frazier easily to potentially pull in a trade such as that. And then Brandon Herrera saying that the Twins are about to be like Oprah Winfrey. You're getting traded. You're getting traded. Maybe get rid of the whole entire team there. But let's talk about just our teams for a little bit. I think it's fair to say that obviously, with Matt and I, it's a little bit more confusing of a situation. Jamil's got the better situation of the three for sure. But obviously, the trade deadline, I think all three of our teams have all established that we're going to actually be buyers. I know that the Rays just solidified that today. I don't think the Yankees are willing to give up anytime soon. And I know the Cardinals have been talking about making a push, and we've been linked to a couple of players already. So, Jamil, I'll start with you. You've already got the big-time trade. You've got Nelson Cruz. What else do you want to see your team add in the trade deadline?
Yeah, I'm happy that we were aggressive early on. You know, still a little over a week left for the trade deadline. But I think the Rays, we need to establish another left-handed reliever. We only have one that we use in Jeffrey Springs, so another one definitely needs to come by. And I would like them to see if they can go and get another starter. Not necessarily doesn't have to be a top guy like Kyle Gibson, but, you know, the Rays front office, you know, they do a good job of finding guys that are lower valued by a lot of other teams and organizations. But I think we desperately need another arm because you can't bank on Glasnow coming back and Archer coming back and being great and McKay coming back and Anderson coming back. You have a lot of guys injured that are coming back, but I think you need to go out and get one guy to just make the transition easier for those four guys coming back, possibly to pitch at the end of the season.
Matt, resident Yankees fan, what do you want to see your team go after in the trade deadline?
Well, Gallo would definitely help. If not him, another left-handed bat. That's going to be most important. Another pitcher would be nice, a starting pitcher. Barrios would be kind of taking a chance on him, and we'd probably have to give up a decent amount of stuff. So I don't know if we'd go Barrios, but a starting pitcher and a left-handed bat for sure.
I would do crazy things for some new pitching in St. Louis. I don't care who you are in a starting pitcher. James Gonzalez down here saying that the Angels could trade Andrew Heaney and Dylan Bundy. Don't know who wants them. We'll take them. You know, any pitching is better than no pitching right now, and no pitching is what the Cardinals have. It's tough. We have been absolutely abysmal, especially on the starting end. A lot of injuries. We've seen Flaherty on an IL stint. We've seen Michaelis not return yet this year. Dakota Hudson's out for Tommy John. Carlos Martinez currently on the IL. I mean, we're pitching Wade LeBlanc for crying out loud. That should let you know the state of the Cardinals pitching staff. And I would really like to change that. So definitely bring in a couple of starters. If Kyle Gibson's on the market, I'd love for us to reach out. Hell, I'd love for us to reach out for John Lester, Jose Barrios. Anything would be able to help us Cardinals, but we will see. James Gonzalez says it would be awful if Texas doesn't get a good haul for Gallo. I'd imagine he's going to bring in a decent haul. If I'm not mistaken, he's not a rental piece. I don't think he's a one and done.
No,
I don't think he's
after.
What? Oh, he's a free agent after this year?
No, he's got 1 more year of control after this.
Okay, so you got another year after this season. So signed up through 2022. So I'd imagine you're definitely just going to gain extra pieces just because of that. You typically control is a pretty big factor whenever it comes to things. But sticking with
why are the Cardinals buying?
Dude, I wish I could tell you because we're about to take 3 or 4 from the Cubs.
I was like, I know they're not close, but let me just get the right number. Bro, you're 7 back of the wild card and the division.
Hey,
at least the Yankees are 3.5 back of the wild card.
Listen up here, okay? So we're about to take 3 or 4 from the Cubs, okay? And then all we need is for the Reds to do their monumental fall like they do every single year.
Well, you play them this weekend, so.
Exactly. So let's get hot. If we the problem is if we get hot and the Brewers hit a monumental cold streak like we have, the Cubs have, and everybody else has in this division, we can get right back in it. I know we're not close, but we're also not like far. 7 games sounds like a lot, but it could be worse. We're not like 20 back. We're not like 15 back. We're already you said we're 7 back, but we were like 10 back whenever we got back from the All-Star break. So, I mean, we're already off to a decent start. So, hey, I'll take what we can get. If we can actually get some pitching, Reds should fall. Absolutely. They always do. But the Reds are just a case that we're just waiting. They do it every single year. And typically the Brewers do this. Typically the Brewers start really hot and get really cold in the second half. Shout out Christian Yelich. Willie Adames will start to play like a human again.
He's been going crazy since
he's great.
Man.
Oh yeah, he's been absolutely nuts. A great addition for
the drop. He was hitting like 200 the drop.
Right, but if he can go a little bit more human, and then the pitching staff can pitch more like they typically pitch, then Cardinals can get right back in it. Am I optimistic? Not really, but is it something that we can do? We're always that team that's just for some reason in it, and so. With Nolan Arenado, with Paul Goldschmidt, and then with anybody else who wants to get hot, if they get hot at the right time, I'm not going to question it. The fact that we were just barely under 500 and our highest batting average was like 260 going into the All-Star break, I'm feeling pretty confident. So I think we can make something happen. But sticking into baseball, somebody's batting average who at a point was about 450 and leading the MLB, now he's making headlines because he's retiring. Hey, you good, big fella? Like, I don't know what's going on with YERMIN Mercedes. That man's got a whole bunch of stuff going on in his life. Man came out, of course, had probably one of, if not the most successful April that we've seen in the MLB this year. I mean, it came out, was one of the more successful players, especially early on, took the league by storm, one of the more entertaining players, hits absolute moonshots. Then after taking a catcher deep, all of a sudden his boomer manager gets upset. Now he's in the minors, can't hit a ball to save his life. He says he's going to retire, and then today he comes back and he says he's going to play, and he loves baseball. What the hell's happening with YERMIN Mercedes?
They said he was coming back.
Yeah, he was in lineup today in uniform, and he said something like, "I love baseball. I'm not going anywhere."
Is he in AAA Charlotte?
Yeah, he's playing for the Charlotte Knights. He is all over the place right now. YERMIN Mercedes just needs to be talked about. Anybody watching right now, drop your opinions on YERMIN Mercedes in the comments and let us know. Hopefully you want to see him back in the majors or what all you think's going on with him. Jamil, this guy's kind of going through like a Brett Favre-esque kind of crisis. He's like, I'm going to retire. Now I'm back. Maybe I'll retire later this year. What do you think possibly is going on with YERMIN? Do you think this could all link back to the Tony La Russa and him beef that was going on after the home run off of Astudillo, or what do you think's going on?
I definitely think that can be a part of it. It was crazy. Me and Matt were recording last night when he retired, and I was like, what the heck? And then, we were reading the comments on Instagram and stuff. But the way he was talking to me, it sounds like something that's bigger than baseball. I think that certainly could have started a spiral down and into his personal life. But the way he was writing, it sounded like it was partly baseball, but a little bit was something going on in his personal life that we don't know.
Matt, could you take me through a little bit? Do you remember the captions or anything that he was talking about at all? Because I didn't get to see the post.
He was very thankful for a lot of things, and this wasn't a clean translation. He tried his best to put it in English, but his English isn't like perfect. So he tried his best, but it was basically like just a thank you for everything and how it was a struggle. And then today is like a complete 180, and it's like he found hope and so like it's like someone sat down and talked to him and just completely got him back into it, and he was like, I love this game, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna really make it work. And yeah, sometimes this happens. It's not easy being an athlete, no matter what you think, no matter how much money you're making, it's still a lot of pressure. And when you go from hitting 450 one month and being in AAA the next, after, he's already 28 years old, all this time already in the minors, has to be frustrating, has to take a toll on the mental health. So I don't think he's going to be a problem moving forward. I see Brandon's comment down there. I don't see him being a problem, at least mentally. I mean, we've seen guys in the past go through it. I mean, hey, Michael Jordan left for a completely different sport and came back and was still, a great person. So I don't think it goes that deep as him being a bad guy. But hopefully he's doing well now, because yesterday might have just been a mental breakdown. We all have them. And, today's better. At least it seems.
Hey, you said different sport. He's 5'11", 245. Can we see him at tailback in the NFL next season?
Hey,
nice little short bowling ball.
Do the Bears need a backup?
I could use a backup.
There you go.
I could say maybe a nice little change of pace from David Montgomery. Yeah, who knows?
Bring the fullback back.
Hey, YERMIN can be a fullback. James Gonzalez saying, I hope Mercedes is good mentally. He just needed a break as short as it was. Maybe that is just the case. He said his confidence must be shot right now, the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Exactly. Kind of piggybacking a little bit off of what Matt said. It is kind of crazy to just see how quick everything changed for YERMIN, though. I mean, obviously, YERMIN making MLB debuts, pitchers don't really know who you are. Everything like that. If you've seen the movie Major League, it almost reminds me of Serrano, where whenever they're just pumping fastballs at batting practice, he's taking them off the scoreboard and everything. And then as soon as you throw a breaking pitch or anything with any movement, he just swings and misses and looks like a goof, and it's just a little bit tough. Mercedes catching passes from a Lions quarterback. Not going to say that name. Yeah, I wouldn't say his name either. That guy sucks. But yeah, no, I really hope YERMIN's doing all right. Like you said, Matt, we've seen players go through stuff like this before. And I think I'm sure it has a lot to do with like mental health and everything such as that. But a lot of players go through it. We've seen Khalil Green. We've seen Dontrell Willis. We've seen Zach Greinke even, going through stuff like this. Mental, the game is just as much mental as it is physical. And I think Mercedes may have just been caught up in the loop of everything, because you went from the hottest player in baseball to one of the coldest players in baseball. You went from hitting every single ball you saw to not being able to put the bat on it. So hopefully Mercedes is doing all right. And we're hoping to, I'd love to see the Yerminator back up in the majors soon enough. Just because he is an entertaining guy. I think he sells tickets in Chicago. And he's just a fun storyline in general when it comes to baseball. It's players like that really get kids and everything interested in baseball, when you got a short pudgy guy sitting here hitting absolute tanks. So we'll move on from baseball for today. We got to go talk about him. Bucks and 6, it is confirmed. Giannis Antetokounmpo with his first NBA championship. Our residential Milwaukee Bucks fan, Matthew Perry. I know he is a big Giannis fan, loves talking some Bucks basketball. You did it, man. How's it feel? How's it feel to finally to see the championship?
It's been quite a year, because besides the Yankees, all of my sports teams have won a championship. Lightning, Chelsea, the Buccaneers. It's been great. I called it years ago. I saw this coming. I have to say, I became a Bucks fan. I want to say 2017. It was the year after Kobe retired, because Kobe used to be my favorite player. And I moved to Giannis and supported the Bucks. He's fantastic. Giannis Antetokounmpo did something very special the other night. I want to say he went he's the first player in NBA Finals history or something to go 50, 10 and 5, something like that. He put up the 50-piece. We saw it today, yesterday with the Nuggets. Gotta love the Chick-fil-A Nuggets. Fantastic stuff. But it's such a great performance, and only at only 26, Giannis's resume is pretty full. I mean, at this point, he's stat padding. He has the potential and he has the years to win, 2-3 more titles if things keep going how they are in Milwaukee. I mean, this was a great team. Got to give Chris Middleton credit. The acquisition of Drew Holiday paid dividends. Big man Brook Lopez, definitely a big deal here. He was always successful in Brooklyn, but he played at the wrong time, and he got time to shine here. It was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I can't be happier about it. It's a great feeling, of course, and first one since 1971. I can only imagine how the for lifers, the Bucks fans that have been around since those days feel. It's been a long time coming. I'll tell you that.
I know that Giannis finally added that NBA ring to his resume, and like you said, Matt, he's got quite the resume. I'm going to bring it up really quick, and I'm going to read this off to Jamil because I know you and I already had this conversation, and I want to hear it from Jamil too. Jamil, hear this out. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. He was also a 2-time MVP, obviously with a championship ring now. 4-time All-Defensive Team. He is an All-Star MVP, a Finals MVP, a Most Improved Player, and a former Defensive Player of the Year. It's early, but is it fair to say that he's locked up the Hall of Fame already?
Yeah, I'd agree with that statement. I think he's like the third player ever. I forgot. I was just saying he became like the third player ever to achieve. I think it was like Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, and something else.
Most Improved, maybe.
It was something like that. And Kareem and one other person had done it. But yeah, when you put those things together, I think he definitely probably already has a Hall of Fame resume, in my opinion. What did y'all two think?
Yeah, we both.
Yeah, I think you look at his basketball reference page, and that part with the accolades is just jam packed already. He's so young and he's
won
done
everything that you can win already, and he's done it multiple times.
Coach of the Year, give him like 25 years. Coach of the Year, lock it up.
Here, let's. I'm gonna let everybody at home see this because this is ridiculous to look at. What Matt's talking about. Look at that resume already. That is ridiculous, folks. Like 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. Most Improved Player, Defensive Player, All-Rookie, NBA Champ, 4-time Defensive Player, All-Star MVP, Finals MVP, 2-time MVP of the season, all belonging to Giannis Antetokounmpo. That guy is his name is a mouthful, and so is his resume. I mean, the guy's done literally everything. I mean, like Matt said, just give him a minute, let him win Coach of the Year, and just lock him down as one of the most influential basketball players of all time. He's fun to watch, very entertaining, very good for the game of basketball too. He's just a lovable guy, at least in my opinion. As a casual fan that kind of watches from a distance, it always seems like Giannis is having a good time. He seems to be in a positive light with the media, so everything seems to be going good for the Greek Freak. James saying, I was wrong about Giannis's injury and the Bucks. I thought the Suns in 5. Mad respect to Giannis, Drew, Middleton, Lopez, and PJ Tucker. Absolutely. And he also said, but this is just another stain on Chris Paul's career. Still a first ballot Hall of Famer, though. Hopefully so. CP3, poor guy. Finally made it to the finals. Got a 2-0 lead. You had to be thinking so many positive thoughts. And then there you go. But Giannis gets so much respect from me because he didn't join a team with superstars already on it. He made his own path like Kobe advised him to. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's a really good way to look at things. The Milwaukee Bucks aren't the Brooklyn Nets. It's not everybody came to come and try to form a super team, everything like that. The Milwaukee Bucks was Giannis and Chris Middleton, and they formed around him. Drew Holiday, a great addition, a great defensive piece as well. Obviously, a great 3-point shooter, and some role players here and there. And next thing you know, you have a championship. And whenever the team's all working together, it definitely shows that things can go pretty well when you build a team right. But congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, congrats are due. And we'll move on to the next one. Let's talk some WWE, some AEW. Let's talk about some wrestling here. We are going to hit everything, almost every single sport in this topic today. 2 of the biggest names in WWE history, I would say, at least of recent history, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. Obviously, Bryan Danielson and Phil Brooks. Bryan Danielson already confirmed to AEW. That contract is confirmed. He will be going there. CM Punk was speculation that he could be going to AEW. There is speculation that a deal is done and that we could be seeing him in the ring. Matt, obviously the biggest wrestling fan out of all of us. I need you to take me through your thoughts first. Daniel Bryan and CM Punk joining AEW.
Well, I'm a lifetime WWE fan, and AEW I like. I've been to several other events, actually more than WWE events. That'll change shortly within the next couple of weeks. But I don't know how to feel. It's tough because it's great for AEW. I mean, these are two of the greatest of this century, at least so far. And CM Punk has not wrestled in almost a decade. Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, he, of course, wrestled at WrestleMania just a few months ago and then left. His contract was up. And he's mentioned that he wants to retire, be with family. Him and Brie Bella now have, I want to say, two kids. 2 or 3, and he said before he retires officially, he wants to be able to travel around the world, face some of the world's best. Now, AEW has a kind of agreement with New Japan, with Impact Wrestling, MLW, several other companies around the world. Unlike WWE, WWE does not have a set partnership with anybody. They're actually pretty closed off when it comes to the wrestling world. They make a big deal about stuff like that. So this gives Daniel Bryan a great opportunity to go around the world and fight who he wants. So that makes complete sense for him. CM Punk, he's very judgmental of today's wrestling, and it makes sense. He makes a lot of great points. So it's a little surprising seeing him potentially suiting up again. But Tony Khan, owner of AEW, he's one to throw the bag at a wrestler if need be. They're not really tight on cash right now, the Khan family. So, CM Punk said for the right price, he'd come back. I don't know his role in AEW, but I do know that All Out, AEW's next big pay-per-view, is in Chicago. And then today on his Instagram story, he posted a video with just a black screen, but I forgot what the song is called, but it's the one that is in The Last Dance, Michael Jordan. It's the one the Chicago Bulls come out to. And it's in Chicago. He's a Chicago native. It all makes so much sense. And this could just be CM Punk messing with, the wrestling news people and stuff like that, which he's done in the past. But I think this is the closest we've ever gotten to him actually coming back. And CM Punk is one of my favorites of all time, if not my favorite. He's one of a kind, really, and everything he does as a whole. Very unique personality. So I don't know how I feel about this. I'll be very happy seeing him back, but the fact that it's not WWE is kind of weird. But I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. We've reached a very interesting time in wrestling where, we're coming back from the pandemic era. Everyone's making returns. Cena returned. We just saw, Karrion Kross make his Raw debut. No More Words is back. Wonderful song. It's a very exciting time. Malachi Black on AEW. It's good times. So I'm just looking forward to the surprises.
Isaiah, I see your comment down there in the comment section. I'm sure we'll get to that here, maybe in closing thoughts or something similar. But we'll definitely, I'm sure somebody will have something to say about that. Maybe even Jamil. Jamil's kind of our resident college football guy, him and RJ both. So, but Jamil, you and I, of course, not as much into it as we used to be, but definitely these two gentlemen were quite prime back when we really were into it. CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, we grew up watching them and everything such as that. To see them leave WWE, obviously CM Punk's been gone for quite some time, like Matt said, out of the ring for nearly a decade, or maybe even a decade at this point. And then Daniel Bryan, who was actually just recently at WrestleMania in Tampa not too long ago, and now already out with AEW. Is there anything in particular that any thoughts that you have regarding this?
Like you said, me and you were not as much into it as it used to be. We still keep track, we still dabble in it, and I think this is big news for All Elite because you're trying to battle WWE for these ratings. And if you could take two of the top guys they've had over the past decade, that's big for your business and that's big for your money. And like Matt said, the Khan family knows all about that money, that green, that cheddar. They know all about that. So I think that's big for their company to grow the brand. Like Matt said, they already have these other deals involved with other companies. So I think this only levels them up.
Matt, do you think I know you said that you don't really necessarily know what exactly CM Punk's role is going to be whenever it comes to it. Do you have like a speculation? Like, do you think he's going to be in the ring, or do you think he may be? Do you think? Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah, for sure. He's gonna. I have to imagine he's gonna be an in-ring performer, as is Daniel Bryan, no doubt about him. I meant more in the sense of, do you put the belt on him? Who's he gonna feud with? Blah blah blah. These two have enough star power. We don't need to put the belt on him. Like Cena coming back en route to SummerSlam, he doesn't need this Universal title. It would be a big deal. But if you want Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania, which is what a lot of people have discussed, whether it's this WrestleMania or the next. You got to keep it on Reigns, even if he drops to Cena and they put it back on him. Cena doesn't need it. He's a big enough star as to where he doesn't need a belt to make him look good, and that's the same thing with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. They don't need it, especially with AEW. They have far less belts than WWE do. They just have the main AEW World Championship and the TNT title, along with tag titles, which these two won't touch. There's no real need. I expect some good feuds. Christian's there. Christian's wrestled both these gentlemen, so that's a thing. Matt Hardy, I'd have to imagine, has interacted with these two at some point. And of course, you get fresh matchups. CM Punk and Aleister Black, or Malachi Black, very fun. Two of my favorite guys. That'd be exciting. Kenny Omega against either of these guys. I mean, I know Daniel Bryan has fought Kenny Omega in Ring of Honor, I want to say, way back in the day. But I don't think Phil Brooks and Kenny Omega have met, so that'll be exciting. Chris Jericho and CM Punk, as well as Daniel Bryan, have definitely acquainted themselves. So there's a lot of good potential matchups here. And of course, the ratings will skyrocket if these two are seen anywhere near AEW television.
I mean, AEW, of course, is kind of becoming the WWE nostalgic show. It really is especially with this. I mean, we have Dean Ambrose over there, or Jon Moxley, with Sting over there, with Chris Jericho over there, Big Show now Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. I mean, it's almost like watching WWE back in 2010. It really is just they're adding more and more pieces to it, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what exactly CM Punk is going to do. I really hope to see him in the ring, and I'd love to see him go up against somebody such as Kenny Omega, or even Daniel Bryan. I'd love to see these two go at it against each other. Because these two signings could be absolutely monumental for AEW. And there's plenty of WWE guys over there to try to get things moving for them. But before we move on to the next topic on the slides, I do want to go to this comment, actually, and I will address it now to try to drag things out a little bit, because we are flying through topics pretty quick today. Obviously, the big news, Texas and Oklahoma trying to move into the SEC. Big news. I got to give it to Jamil first. Jamil, you're one of our big college football guys. Oklahoma and Texas, some of the two bigger schools in the Big 12, trying to move over to the SEC. What are your thoughts on it to start for Isaiah?
Oh, yeah, this would be absolutely gigantic on both fronts for the SEC and the Big 12. For the SEC, if you can add the two best teams from the Big 12, that's big. You already have the most revenue in college football and almost all college sports. And if you can add these two, that just adds to that revenue. And then football-wise, if this move were to take place, I think both of them would slide to the West. And I think geographically it only makes sense for Alabama and for Auburn to slide to the East, which would make the East a super gauntlet with Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Auburn. And the West would still be good with LSU, Oklahoma, Texas, and Texas A&M. I think this would make the SEC a huge mega conference for football. As for the Big 12, obviously lose your two top dogs. How do you rebound? I think they would look to the Atlantic Athletic Conference to rebuild and retool and go after teams like Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, and Memphis.
Hey, well, we got one pretty strong opinion on it. I am sick of college programs moving conferences.
Well, we haven't had it in almost a decade now, so it's almost time for realignment to come. As these teams deals where their conferences come to a close, they're looking for the big money picture, and especially with the college football playoff talking about expanding, why not go to a conference where you're going to get a lot more money and you're still going to be able to make the playoffs without winning your conference?
What do you think about this, Jamil? SEC would need 2 automatic bids.
I mean, with the way it's already set up, with if it goes to 8 or to 12, I think the SEC is guaranteed to get at least 2 in every season, just based off your conference champion getting in, and then the next best team, if not the next 2 best teams, will most likely be ranked in the top 10.
Fair enough. Matt, you have anything to add about Texas and Oklahoma trying to make their way into the SEC?
I'm not that big of a college football guy. I like it. I don't study it like Jamil does. As a Gators fan, though, you don't want to see 2 top dogs from another conference come in and try to take your spot. So technically, I'm not for it. I also don't see – I know there are benefits, but I don't see the need for it, I guess. So I'm impartial just because I'm uninformed.
I think this is more along the lines of like this would be great for Oklahoma and Texas, but at this point, if we take them out of the Big 12, are we looking more at like a Power 4 as opposed to like a Power 5? Because the SEC is about to become a super conference if this happens. If you're taking two of the better teams from a conference and moving them to another conference that's already known for being so well, Jamil, like, do you think that kind of diminishes the Big 12 a little bit, especially when it comes to college football?
The Big 12 definitely takes a hit, and at that point, now they have to look at where do they add teams? Like I mentioned, those American Athletic teams, but at that point, now you're the best team in your conference is who is it? There is no necessarily top dog in your top big draw. So now at that point, do you look to dip into other conferences? Do you try to take someone out of the Pac-12? Do you go to the Big Ten and try to get back someone that had already left you once in a team like Nebraska? Just throwing names out there. Like at that point, you need a top draw. You need a team that's gonna get you money, because now at this point you need to get money from other TV networks for your games. And at that point, who do you have to offer for them to put on Saturday night at 8:00?
Hey, there you go. Why don't we just have two conferences, the Big Ten, the SEC, and put everybody in the two? Because we go to USF, and that would suck ass. Kaya says, facts, bro, facts. I'm assuming you know Kaya.
I do know Kaya.
Oh, you know Kaya. Well, hello, Kaya. Pleasure having you here. Shout out to the YouTube emblem. Glad you're here. Shout out to GMs for Hire. If you sub, we play the goal horn. Unless you're already subbed, then we play the goal horn anyway. I mean, we'll figure it out. Comment goal horn. I'll play the goal horn. But
itching to hit that button.
What's that?
You're just itching to hit that button.
Oh, I love it. But anyway, moving on from college football to professional football, the NFL, the next stage. Obviously, I'm sure both of you guys saw this. We talked about it today in the group chat. This is kind of nuts, especially after last year. Last year we had that Baltimore Pittsburgh game that got pushed off to a Wednesday at 4 p.m. Because of some positive COVID tests and everything such as that. We saw the Patriots have to go play on prime time with Brian Hoyer because Cam Newton had tested positive. I mean, we saw all types of stuff going on with the COVID season and everything such as that last year. So it's kind of crazy to get to this point. And now the NFL is threatening forfeits for teams with COVID-19 outbreaks if you have unvaccinated players. So basically, in layman's terms, if you are to have positive COVID-19 cases with your players being unvaccinated, your team will forfeit the game and your game will not be played. The win will go to the other team. A big step in a direction, the right direction or the wrong direction. Matt, I'll get your opinion.
Well, this kind of almost walks the line of political and sports, and I don't like crossing the line, so I'll tread lightly. This is a clear ploy by the NFL to try to get players to vaccinate. I know the numbers are not very high right now in percentage of NFL players vaccinated. We've had a few, Cole Beasley is one that has just, publicly been so against getting vaccinated. And we even had DeAndre Hopkins, which we might mention shortly, even threaten retirement almost after the hearing of this. Yeah, James is right on that. It depends on what side you're on, really, of the political spectrum. I'm not going to criticize anybody on it, but I'm vaccinated. Will is vaccinated. Jamil, I think you're vaccinated, right? Right. So we're not professional athletes, but football is a contact sport and you're around a bunch of guys in a locker room. We see it in sports. COVID, you still get COVID. Even if you're vaccinated, it happens. So it's almost unavoidable for some, of course, really for anybody, actually. So I don't know about forfeiting, but yeah, you can't delay games a week. You can't do the whole Pittsburgh-Baltimore on a Wednesday thing. You're breaking through TV setups and broadcasting, and it just complicates everything. The forfeit is fair to an extent. I don't want to make someone forfeit if they can field the team, but if you can still field the team, I don't care if it's DeAndre Hopkins getting COVID and not being able to play or the backup nose tackle. As long as you can still field the team, I think you should still have to play. I don't think you should get a forfeit off, a certain amount of players, unless it's, you can't play. Basically.
Yeah, I didn't look too deep into the article. I read the headline, I read the first couple of paragraphs, but I didn't. What I read didn't really specify how many players is considered an outbreak, because I'm assuming you're not forfeiting a game for one positive test.
Yeah, no.
You're not going to forfeit a game for 2, 3, whatever the case. That's just a little bit too far, especially if it's somebody like your backup long snapper or your athletic trainer or whatever the case may be. It could be anybody. But Jamil, here, James made his opinion known. He said that's a good rule by the NFL. Apparently he's for it. Jamil, obviously, talking about forfeiting games for COVID outbreaks and unvaccinated players. What are your thoughts on it?
At the moment, I honestly don't hate it because, last year this happened. Like Matt said, we had to play a game on Tuesday or Wednesday and pass the TV and all that stuff. That's just not safe for the players, because now one team has to suffer because you had an outbreak on the other side, and now they got to play 2 games in a week and a half week stretch. I don't think that's fair to them. So if you're going out and you're getting, I'm not going to say you're getting COVID because you're going out, but chances are if you're sitting at home and just playing football and going home with your family, you're probably not going to get COVID. That could still happen. I'm not saying it can't, but I think that it's not fair to a lot of other teams if you're having to push back and play these games on random days of the week. And if you have a super big outbreak, which to me sounds like it's gonna be like 20 people or so, then you
Kaya.
probably does. Yeah, he said, like Kaya said, probably 20. I'm thinking it's around 20 as well. At that point, I think a forfeit is in the cards. I thought this might have happened last year and they didn't do it. So I'm really not surprised they're doing it this year. Now the vaccine has rolled around and it's been a whole calendar year.
Yeah, I was honestly like the game that really stands out to me was, of course, Kendall Hinton playing quarterback for the Broncos. Having to take a practice squad wide receiver that played some college football quarterback, and having to have him play quarterback at the NFL level. That's the kind of stuff I think about. But even then, it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was one player testing positive and then tracing to the other 3 or 4 quarterbacks.
One quarterback had it, but since they're all in the quarterback room, that they all kind of play. But I want to know is, if you're vaccinated, because, if you're vaccinated, you can still get the virus. It's not right. Doesn't make you immune. It doesn't make you Superman. So if you do catch the virus and it is a 20-team outbreak, how do they handle that? Is the game going to get pushed back now?
Right. I mean, and that's a really good question, because what do you do? At that point, what do you do? And it says, outbreaks for among unvaccinated players. So if I'm vaccinated, say that I'm vaccinated and I'm in the linebacker room. Every team's probably going to have 8, 9, 10 linebackers. If I'm vaccinated and then they do a trace, and then every other linebacker has to come and sit out with me, similar to the quarterback room in Denver. I mean, is that considered an outbreak? And then do I have to forfeit? I was vaccinated. There's a lot of gray area, at least early on. I think as time goes on, obviously this was dropped earlier today. You can even see right there, updated on July 22nd, 2021, and published on July 22nd as well. So earlier today at 2:20 p.m. Eastern. So just 7 hours ago, we're just finding out about this ourselves. I'm sure there's definitely going to be some updates and some more information coming up on it, and we'll find out more as the season goes on. But definitely some interesting times, an interesting step in a direction for the NFL. They're making their statement. They're almost putting their foot down. They're letting you know that, it is almost, I think Matt was right whenever he said it's a push to get players vaccinated. It's a push to do everything like that. And I know that the MLB has done it in a way as well. I know that masks are required unless 85% of your staff and team is vaccinated. So I know the St. Louis Cardinals don't wear masks anymore because they reported 100% completely vaccinated. I just know that about the Cardinals from watching them. I know there are some teams and there were some players. I knew Didi Gregorius still wore a mask for forever. There are some players, and recently I just saw him up in the bat and he wasn't wearing a mask. But that was the first time I think I've seen him all season without one. It is what it is. If people want to wear their mask, they want to wear their mask. And we'll find out more about this rule as the season goes on. And I'm sure we'll definitely have an example or two throughout the season to talk about. So we'll get there when we get there. But now a new segment here on GMs for Hire, GMs for Hire. So we are going to do our final 4. We are going to do every single week. We're going to have a topic or or something or another to do our top 4, almost like a Mount Rushmore of these things. And since the Bucks won the NBA title this week, we figured we would talk about championship moments. So we figured we would talk about our top 4 favorite moments in the championship of sports. Now that can be in any sport. I'm talking the core 4. Or the 4 majors. It could be MLS. It could be FIFA. It could be anything, whatever you want it to be. Your top 4 moments in championship history. Matt, you and I were talking a little bit before the episode about it, and I know you said that you were looking for number 4, so I wanted to know if you had it now, and if so, take it away.
My 4, CM Punk, 2011 Money in the Bank, winning the WWE Championship and leaving with it as his contract expired. Great moment, probably my favorite CM Punk moment, as it is for many other fans. The Lightning winning the Stanley Cup this year. It was a special year, better than last year because there were fans. It was at home. I got to go to the parade after. So personally, it's great for me. Second one I've seen, live, but first one that felt special, even more special at least. Yankees 2009 World Series, the only one I've seen since being conceived. Very special one. Hoping for a second one within the next few years, but I'm not super confident in that. And the 4th one, I make my Sports Jeopardy debut next week. Will is going to be hosting. I will be in the contestant seat. And RJ is only the second man to go back-to-back on title victories. Well, it's not going to go for 3 because I'm coming in and I'm taking that title. He's lucky he's not here. He's lucky he's not here. I have a whole lot more to say.
Lucky he got lucky at the end of the last Jeopardy is what happened.
That's right. See, the only reason he's champion is because of me. I make the questions.
He is the only reason you're champion. That's 100% facts. Because I was trying to get my belt back. I've been cheating.
Well,
let me stop talking about it.
It's going to be me. I'm just letting you know.
Will schemed out to be like 2 times ago. Then I get undercut by RJ last night.
This is not a prediction. This is a promise. I will be champion in 2 weeks because.
Well, let me be a part of that question.
I forgot we pre-record these. I forgot we pre-record these, but in 2 weeks I will be your Jeopardy champion.
Oh, you heard it, RJ. I don't know where you're at, but you better run. Talk about that. Hey, Coast to Coast, how you doing? And hello, Joanne, how you doing? And then let's see. We also had Kaya said New England's comeback against the Falcons. Ridiculous. Definitely a great time. Definitely more ridiculous. I think Jamil said it. Crazy and ridiculous. Great words for it. And James said, I'll definitely be tuning into Sports Jeopardy. I love trivia. Hey, man, if you want to come do it.
Hey, let's get James on there, man.
James, come on, brother. You might have to hop on an episode, but you see it scrolling around here on this little lower third that says welcome to GM's Live right under here underneath you. As you can see right here, subscribe to GMs for Hire on YouTube, and you can come catch all of our Sports Jeopardy. We do it every single Wednesday, drops every single Wednesday at noon Eastern time, I should clarify. And you can come check out to see who exactly is our champion at the moment. But right now, I think it's fair to say that RJ is the champion since Matt just cut a promo on him, and Matt's coming for him. And that's going to be his favorite moment in championship history. So I can't wait to see that. James said he's in. He'll do it. Just let him know. We'll figure that out, James. We'll go ahead and shoot me a message or something, and we'll figure out a time for you. But all right, Jamil, final 4, your favorite 4 championship moments in sports history.
All right, I'm going to be honest. When we first talked about this, I thought we were picking one moment from each of the core 4 sports. I didn't know we were experimenting with this. So now I'm going to change up my picks on the fly. Number 1, I'm going to go with the Lightning. I'm going to go with last year's Lightning, though, because, it's COVID season. Everybody was down the dumps. COVID, we can't go outside. Lightning won the ship. It was like, hey, we did something. So, I was really happy about that. Number 2, obviously my Bucks who won the championship last season. I'll be honest though, the game against the Packers was my favorite Bucks game of all time. Yeah. I cried after we won that game, no joke. That was one of the 2 times I cried this year. Was after we beat the Packers. That game was crazy. I was in a bar crying. That's how you know I was a little bit.
I would pay money to see that.
I was a little bit lit and a little bit emotional. I combined the 2. You understand. Number 3, I'm gonna go for an American League championship when the Rays. We went to our first World Series 2008. That was really big for me. And
Murrah stepping on second base and doing that big hype celebration.
yeah,
He was
man,
lit.
that was crazy. I probably cried that day too. I was back in 08, so I was just legit then. And then my last one, I'm gonna be honest, last year, even though we didn't win the championship, when Brett Phillips hit that walk-off on that crazy play, I'm never gonna forget that. That's even though we didn't win the World Series, we won that game, and that's one of my favorite Rays games of all time.
Hey, that counts because I have a moment that's not necessarily a win, but it was something that I predicted, and it got me so hyped that I predicted it. James down here saying my moment is 2002 when the Angels won the World Series. There's been nothing much for my other teams.
Raiders. That's brutal.
That's tough.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. It was looking like that for us at Tampa for a little bit, so I'm not gonna cap. I'm not gonna cap, but Clippers and Raiders. That's like. We gotta talk, man. Let's talk about that. I know you're going through some stuff in your sports life, so we'll talk about that. You can vent to me.
Cups of the Rose. Start saying been banner years lately for Tampa. That's an understatement.
Man, we've earned them. We've been through some rough times in this city for some sports.
Tampa Bay now, though.
Absolutely, but now we own that Tampa Bay stuff. So mine, I have to say, Lightning winning the Cup in 2021. This year's Cup. I don't get me wrong, Jamil. I totally get why you're saying last year's Cup. But I have to. I appreciate you being different, but I had to agree with Matt because there's something about winning it in front of the home crowd. Shout out Jane Castor giving me a heart attack. If we would have lost that Stanley Cup, I think that would have been the end of her. But she definitely wouldn't have been reelected, but it's all good. But there was something about just being able to skate around on home ice and hold that cup, especially after everybody was saying all this stuff about, oh, you're over the cap, yada, yada. Oh, you got that Mickey Mouse Stanley Cup. Okay, well, we'll just win a second one and we'll go parade around our own home ice for a little bit. How's that sound? That was a great moment for me. James Harrison's fumble and return touchdown. That honestly, not a Steelers fan, but it got me hyped. That was just a cool moment in Super Bowl history, just to be able to see him because that guy had like the game of his life in that Super Bowl. And then to be able to cap it off with the little scoop and score touchdown, 80, 90 yards down the field. I mean, that boy was hauling. Obviously, the one I was talking about that wasn't necessarily the winner. I was actually sitting in the common area at college, and I predicted the Rajay Davis home run in 2016 in Game 6. I was sitting there, and I was like, "It's going to be some unsung hero." I said, "Give it to Rajay Davis. We're going to extra innings." And sure enough, got that inside fastball low, and it just swung all inside out. Somehow lined it down the line. It was just such a cool moment. And man, I will never forget how hype everybody got in the common area. I don't think anybody there was cheering for the Cubs that day, which is always a great time for me. Obviously, it didn't end out well, but it was a great time. And then I think you guys all knew where I was going with number one. I think David Freese, Game 6, 2011. I think that's the most clear answer I was going to have. I think whenever I brought up the championship moments, I think we all knew where I was going. But of course, the hometown guy from St. Louis, bringing it home to St. Louis, keeping us alive on multiple occasions, and then ultimately walking it off. That led us to our 11th World Series in team history. Such a moment. And Matt, shout out to you because you set a wrestling moment in 2008 Armageddon when Jeff Hardy won the WWE.
Yes, sir.
Whenever he hit that swanton on what was it? Triple H and Edge.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sir. Yes,
a
sir.
moment.
My favorite wrestling moment by far.
You want to talk about people crying? If I was in the bar, I was crying, but I know I was at home. I was shedding real life tears. Man, that was such a good moment. I definitely had to
CM Punk because he cashed in on Jeff Hardy at that Extreme Rules. After that, I hated him. I was like, I'm done wrestling, man. It's stupid. Like, it's
I hated Triple H for the longest time because he beat him in an elimination chamber, and I will never forgive him for that. James Gonzalez says that Freeze homer was on my birthday, and I'll always remember that. I'm glad that the Cardinals are part of your memories forever, James. But closing time, one last chance for alcohol. You know what time it is? As we always do here at GMs, everybody gets their closing time thoughts. Jamil, we'll start it off with you. Closing time. What you got?
Ooh, what do I have? Let's talk about the Rays real quick. Obviously, we made a big trade. We got some big series coming. We got Boston and New York coming up this month. Big series. If we got to take some of those, we got to take this division.
Hey, there we go. Closing thoughts.
expansion draft just happened. Me and Jamil did a video on it. Go watch it. Tomorrow, Jamil and RJ have a video coming out on the ACC most players to watch, basically. So check that out. That's going to be good stuff. Well, hope the Yankees get Gallo.
No.
I'm better with closing thoughts than usual. I don't know. I mean, thank you. I guess, yeah.
I hope your GM doesn't know what to do this rest of the week then.
No, don't go back to me. I already messed this up.
Hey, man, we're just happy to have you. Closing thoughts. Shout out Matt trying to cut a hardcore promo. And be ready because I have been trying to beg up Matt's leg since week 2 to let me do
the first time you're up my leg.
Hey, won't be the last. But this is the face, ladies and gentlemen. All right. But I have been begging to let me host one episode of Jeopardy. And everybody come and pray for Matt to come win so I can host it a couple weeks in a row. I would love to do that. And I'm really excited. So come check out some of the videos. We have a lot of awesome content coming. And that's already there. So make sure you go check that out and come be a part of it in the comments section. Great show, guys. Just subbed on YouTube. You know what that means. God, that's so hot.
You gotta let the music go.
Oh my God. Oh, good Lord. It's so good. But thank you guys so much for coming and joining us on another episode of GM's Live. And go sub to us on YouTube. Go catch everything we're doing away from Coast to Coast Network. But otherwise, you can find us here every single Thursday, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern time. Until then, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Love you, James.